Hi there, good morning everybody. Welcome to the first day of Goodwood Festival. I hope you're all having a wonderful morning so far. The weather's looking beautiful and we're in for a great day of racing today. Thank you very, very much for joining me. We've already got a load of people here. It's wonderful to see you all. Morning, John, great to have you joining us again today. Bruce, thank you very much indeed.
Good morning everybody. Welcome.
Nigel, great to see you. Thank you very much for joining, and welcome to everybody who is coming in as I speak. It's great to see you. So we're going to be going through every single race that's taking place today at Goodwood. It's super exciting. I'm looking forward to getting stuck in, seeing if we can find those strongest runners that are going to be running today. Before we get started, if you're looking forward to this, if you're having a good time, please don't forget to hit the share button, share it with your friends. Please do tell everybody else what we're doing here today, this morning, and obviously hit the thumbs up, the likes button, leave me a comment if you want to. I'd love to hear who you think is going to be strongest in each of the races as well. So please do join in the chat in the chat boxes, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, it doesn't matter. You can leave a comment if you're on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, there is a chat box over on this side of your screen, I believe, on the right hand side of your screen. You should see that chat box there. But please do get involved. Leave us a message, chat with me, with everyone else who is with us today. We've got a wonderful audience with us, so let's get started. Let's jump in. Let's see what we can find. We're going to try and go through everything in an hour. Any questions, if I haven't been clear on something, please do drop those into the chat box as well. If any of my reasoning isn't quite clear, please do drop that into the chat box as well. Okay, wonderful. Let me bring up our race cards for today. Also, if you are on Facebook or YouTube, doesn't matter which, you'll notice that at the bottom right of the video is a little square box. If you click on that square box, it will make the video that you're watching, or make this live, take up your full screen. So it'll be bigger, you'll be able to see it in more detail. So if it's looking a bit small for you, hit that box and let it take up the entire screen. Grab a pen, grab a paper, take some notes. Let's see what we're going on. The ground condition at Goodwood this morning is good. The last update said it was good to soft in some places. And for those of you who follow the going stick measurements, the going stick measurement is 6.8. And that was at 8:15 this morning. So generally speaking, the ground is good to soft in a few places. Morning, Carl. Great to have you here. Wonderful you can stay even if it's just for 30 minutes. Hopefully you can get enough for you in that 30 minutes that you can use. If you can, put some headphones in. If you've got to be somewhere else, plug some headphones in, put it on your mobile phone. You can grab it on your mobile as well, and just listen to what we're going through, even if you can't see the screen. So let's start with the 110 at Goodwood, the British European Breeders' Fund EBF Fillies Handicap. It's a 1 mile race, 12 runners in it. Class 3, the ground we've already said is good, flat turf race. Okay, let's jump in and see what we can find. Now, I'm going to start with using, for most of these races, I'm going to use a standard race card without any custom ratings on, but I may jump around a little bit and get some of our custom ratings in, kind of, if there's not enough information coming through. So, here we have the British European Breeders' Fund EBF Fillies Handicap, the first race of the Goodwood Festival this year, the first year when there will be no visitors at Goodwood. There will be nobody watching these races live. The only time I believe in history this has ever happened, but we can still enjoy it live from the comfort of our own home and see if those runners that we expect to come in do. So we're predicting this race is going to be a slow pace. We can see that up here on the top left. Now, generally slow pace races have either no leaders or early pressers, and that can take, or at least no horse that wants to take the lead, which can give a slightly slower pace. While none of these runners generally want to be the lead, obviously some horse has to lead. So if a mid-pack horse can get into the lead by more than 3 lengths, then often they'll keep the position all the way to the finish, particularly as this is just a 1 mile race. And if a trainer knows a horse can do this, then often he'll instruct that jockey to go to the front early in races where they think that the pace is going to be slow. So actually, since we've just gone through that, I'm going to open the pace card here. And I'm going to look at, the total pace column is the one that I'm actually interested in. We've got the running styles over here on the right-hand side of your screen for each horse. So these are the running styles that each horse prefers. But that doesn't mean they're going to be able to race that in today's race. So to see how they're likely to race in today's race, we have the total pace column here. And we can see we've got a couple kind of at the front, declared interest, Queen of Silica have a higher total pace score. The higher the score, the more likely they are to lead. Coming in behind, we've got I'm Available, and we've got this bunch of kind of mid-pack horses here. Hatia, Wasayef, Alabama Whitman, Vividly, Tomorrow's Dream, Separate. And then we start coming into the bottom end of the field, the horses that we're expecting to be kind of at the back initially. Separate, Agent of Fortune, Angel Power, and Secret Return. Okay, so we're expecting it to be sort of closing horses, and if we look at the running style the horse prefers and where they are likely to be in the race, we can see here that we've got Separate down here as a closer. Potentially these horses at the bottom are all closers. They could be possibly a little bit too far behind. However, we have Hatia up here, kind of like mid-pack really, but likes closing the race. So this could be this course could have some good pace for the race, as could Wasiyef. Okay, so just having a brief look at that and keeping that kind of in mind, we're going to move on to actually digging in to some of these races, see what we can figure out here. So I'm going to start by sorting by Betfair odds, because we need to, if we're going to get through all these races in the next hour, we've got to trim down the fields as much as possible. So I'm going to remove any high odds horses, any odds above 30, 29 to 1. So that means that Agent of Fortune is gone, H is gone, Queen of Silica's gone, Secret Return is gone, and Alabama Whitman. Now, Alabama Whitman is currently odds of 31 to 1, 32 we can see here. However, I'll bear that in mind. If we come to look at the market and the odds have dropped in, then we may drop that horse back in. But immediately, this shrinks our field down to just 7 core runners, which kind of makes it far more manageable. Next, I want to look at days since last good run. I'm going to sort highest to lowest, because we can see here at the top we've got Vividly, Wasiyef, I'm Available, and Separate. All have had quite a long time since their last good run. And we can see that they have raced, except for Wasiyef, who hasn't raced recently. So they all have raced. Coming down, we've got Declared Interest here, Angel Power, and Tomorrow's Dream. These 3 horses have had a good run recently, so I've just highlighted them to remind myself of that. Now, note that Wasiyef's odds are 5.4, whereas the other horses that haven't had a good race recently are higher, and that's most likely to be because obviously this horse has performed well in the past and hasn't had a recent run. But we'll come back to that in just a moment. Next, I'm going to sort by PR odds. Just to try and we're just trying to get an overview of where the horses sit now in the field. Overview of where the horses sit in the field. Angel Power is sitting at the top for us. Wasiyef is coming in second here, followed by Tomorrow's Dream. So that's good. That 2 of those horses that we just said had a good run recently are in there, plus Wasiyef, who we have also said hasn't had a race recently at all. So we don't know. We need to have a little bit further delve into his past performance. I'm going to open the pace. Oh, wait. But before I do that, actually, I'd just like to point out. So what we have on the Race Advisor, this question came up by one of our users yesterday, and we have the weight down here. You'll notice if I hover over the weight of these horses, there's a little pop-up, a little hover that shows up. And the reason is because when we display the weight on our race cards, we display the weight at the horse is carrying. So that is the weight minus any allowance. So the actual weight that the horse is carrying in the race. Not the official weight, not the declared weight, but the actual weight the horse is carrying, which is the weight minus the jockey allowance. But if you hover over the horse, you can see the official declared weight and what the jockey allowance would be. So that's why you may sometimes see that the weight on ours differs from other race cards, because we like to show the actual weight that's being carried in the race as opposed to the official weight. So we take off that jockey allowance before we display it, but you can just see that by hovering over any of those horses. Okay, now I'm just going to click on the PR odds, and now interestingly you'll notice that we've the PR odds, so we find this happens not too infrequently in these big festival races where it's super competitive, and our odds line it struggles to kind of match the most likely horses with the others. And you'll see that actually we've knocked out quite a few of those with high odds that would have been contenders from the PR odds line. The only one that's left in there is Separate, and the odds on Separate are pretty high. So I'm not going to look at the PR odds contenders for this particular race because of that. Instead, I'm going to use some of the other information that we've got. So the first one is the 5278. We can see declared interest is sitting there at the top. And then we've got Vividly and I'm Available kind of next in the runnings. So again, it's spread out, and this is kind of what we're going to expect today. Different factors, different ratings are going to be telling us different pieces of information because all of these horses are going to be strong. They're going to be good runners. Okay, so at the moment, we've not really got a core. We've got the horses highlighted here, but we're starting to see different pieces of information coming from different places. So let's look at speed figures. And again, you can see this changes the picture yet again because now we've got Unavailable at the top. YCF is kind of hitting there second down here. You can see it, but nothing standout, nothing pointing. And watch when I go to the next one, how many good races has each horse had in the last 10? That's going to change it around again. We've got Unavailable back up, YCF sitting in the middle, Angel Power at the bottom. And the win history is going to do it yet again. And this is, as I say, this is what we see time and again in these super competitive races. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how we can kind of dig into that, some of the factors we can use to try and figure out which horse actually has the edge, which horse doesn't. Win history here, we got Angel Power, Tomorrow's Dream, Declared Interest, YCF. So while it's jumping about, what we are starting to see a little bit of in the top half of these 7 runners, Declared Interest is almost always in that top half, and YCF is almost in that top half. So we got 2 there that are always kind of in the top half. And that's just a slight indicator that there may be some strength going on here. Now, in these super competitive races, I tend to like our average competitive class ratings, such as this one. I know the names are kind of long. That's because we're trying to name so many factors. But this is the AC PFP. So it's average competitive PFP class rating. And this hasn't got time decay on it. I'll show you one with time decay in a minute, which actually will be more effective. But we can see here, declared interest is back in there. YCF's just dropped down below, but we've got Tomorrow's Dream. And I put quite a lot of store in here, so I'd be quite concerned by Angel Power, but I would rather see this for or with a time decay. So let me just jump over to a different race car. We've got a little bit more information on it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, absolutely, Chris. It is a horrible race because not all horses have handicap form. Hi, Will, Positronic, welcome. Great to see you here. Welcome to everybody who has joined in the last kind of 5-10 minutes or so. Thank you very much for joining. I hope you enjoy. We're going to be going through all the races. We're just on the first race now. I am going to have to speed up a little bit. I appreciate that because we're going to try and get through them all in the next kind of 45, 50 minutes. If you're enjoying it, please hit the share button, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Just hit that share button. Share it out amongst your social network. That would be really great. I'd really appreciate that. And hit the thumbs up or the like as well. Okay, so let's jump back in here. This race card's loaded now. And I'm going to scroll along. Where am I? Here we go. So I've got, you'll see here, I've got the same average competitive class rating for PFP, but it's TD. That stands for time decay. What that means is this takes more importance from the more recent races and gives less importance to the races that happened, you know, like 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year, 2 years ago. So we put more importance on most recent races. And we can see that that puts Tomorrow's Dream right at the top and YCF right at the bottom. But we got to be a little bit careful because we know here YCF hasn't had a race this season. We can see that a hyphen means that the horse hasn't run yet this season. So we've got to be a little bit careful there. But from the others, we can see that essentially Tomorrow's Dream is looking to be by far the strongest. Now let's jump over into the same except for speed. This is an average competitive rating, but for speed. And again, Tomorrow's Dream is sitting up there near the top, Separate a little bit above it, and Wasiev is kind of down at the bottom, but again, we know that horse hasn't raced recently. And this is why it's important to know what factors you're looking at, because I know these two factors have a time decay applied to them, meaning that the more recent races are more important. So obviously, if a horse hasn't run recently, that's going to go against it with this particular rating. So we've got to just keep an eye out for these elements. Okay, now I'm going to look along. So at the moment, I'm going towards Tomorrow's Dream, possibly Declared Interest, maybe, and Wasiev we need to look into. Looking at speed projection, Wasiev's right at the top there, and then kind of Declared Interest, Tomorrow's Dream, falling just behind I'm Available. And you'll see that there's then a big jump, 123 down to 116. So that's kind of our cutoff line. In the last, I'm not going to look at these, but I am going to look at speed on, average speed on the ground. Okay, Wasiev, we haven't been able to make one for. Otherwise, apart from Vividly up here at the top, there's kind of not much to say between them, to be honest. Look at the average speed over distance. Again, these three horses up here, Angel Power, Declared Interest, Wasiev, all sitting near the top. Tomorrow's Dream, not so great over distance. Now this one is going to be useful today. So days since last one. Tomorrow's Dream won recently. We can see that also in recent form, as did Declared Interest, Angel Power. I'm going to ignore Wasiev because this is the only horse that hasn't raced this season. But these horses down here, Separate, Vividly, I'm Available, I'm unlikely to want to bet on. They've not had a good race for a long time, and they've not won for a long time. So, but they have been racing. That makes them unlikely for me to be interested to place a bet on them. Last thing I'm going to look at on the screen is these four factors here, the PFP LR points. This tells us how many points each horse has had added or subtracted over its last four races. And we can see it individually. We can see Tomorrow's Dream has been kind of steadily improving, which is nice. Declared Interest has been, except for the last race where it dropped a bit, but otherwise been nicely, steadily improving. And Angel Power as well, and actually Wasiev. So they're all kind of sitting there with Declared Interest, possibly not, slightly weaker over those last two races. Right, now I'm going to run the Monte Carlo simulation. I'm going to do it on this race card. Obviously, this simulation takes into account the ratings that are on each race card. So I'm doing it on this particular race card with these extra factors, and it's going to take around maybe 30 seconds or so to run. While I'm doing that, has anybody got any selections? Has anybody already chosen their horses for this particular race? Will's chosen I Dream of Horses as your thread. Let me know what horses you're going to be on in this race. If you are going to be on any, you might be skipping this race. It is super competitive, so you might be wanting to kind of move on. But I'd love to know which horses you've chosen, if you have chosen any, if you are going to be on any in this race. Okay, we're halfway through now that simulation. And once the simulation's finished, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to exit it, and then I'm going to come back in so I can sort it by the order of horses that were the best. Okay, so let me exit here, and I'm going to come back in and sort. There we go. Angel Power is at the top. Tomorrow's Dream, Declared Interest, Wasiev. So it's actually put all the four horses we've mentioned kind of at the top. So now it's going to be, do we want to bet on these horses? Before we decide whether we want to bet on these horses, I'm just going to open the history for Wasiev. Here we go. Let me just open that in a new tab over here. Okay, there we go. We got the history for Wasiev here. Not a huge amount of history. We can see here, Newmarket Flat was the last race. Remember, this race is 1 mile. Prize money is just under 11 grand. Supposedly class 3 on good ground. And so it's jumping up in class in terms of prize money. However, every single race this horse has won has been good. However, both of them have been on good to firm, although it did well on kind of slower all-weather ground. So that should indicate it shouldn't have a problem with the good ground, even if it is slightly soft in places. Horse is only carrying 9.4 today, but these few pounds between here shouldn't make a difference. So we could expect this horse to run well today. And because this is so difficult, this race to look at, I'm actually also going to open the speed graph here. I'm just going to open the speed graph. And I'm going to put a dynamic filter on this speed graph today for good and good to soft ground, flat turf, and apply that filter. Okay, and I'm going to zoom in because I'm not interested in the last kind of that many years. I'm particularly interested in what's been going on recently. Now, let's zoom in a bit further, actually. Let's see what's been going on recently, and let's come up so that we can see it a bit clearer. Okay. Right, there we go. So now we can see this a little bit clearer. I'm not interested. I'm only interested in those 4 horses. So I'm just going to click on the ones we're not interested in. Wassif, Angel Power, Tomorrow's Dream declared interest. So these 3, Wassif isn't in here. So these are the 3, and I can probably now expand out a little bit. But basically what we can see here is declared interest is kind of looking strongest up here. We've got Angel Power sitting at a similar level to Tomorrow's Dream. Now I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we can see that whole picture. So you can see declared interest wasn't so great there either. Now let me just open this dynamic filter again. And if I drop in good to firm, we'll get a lot more horses. Okay, here we go. Let's zoom back in here. And essentially what we've dropped in here is Queen of Silica, who's bouncing around on good to firm a little bit. So again, there's not much separation there. I'm going to come back over to the race card. I was looking to see if there were any significant horses that were improving, but they're all kind of much of a muchness. So what do we do now? How do we progress on this race? Let's take a look at Betfair. Great to see your own selections coming in here. We've got Will with Vividly, John's going on Wassif, Chris is on Buick. Because Williams riding instead of Hatcher. Okay, that's interesting. You're right. Buick is down to his lowest winning weight. Chris always has some wonderful information about jockeys like this, so that's wonderful. Okay, I'm going to open the market. Let's just open the market here and see what we've got. So Angel Power. Favorite Wassif coming in at 5.1. Tomorrow's Dream declared interest. So all 4 here, all of our 4 possible contenders are the 4 favorites in the market. Could we Dutch them for a £25 stake? Oh, let's hit the stake button. 25, okay. The answer is yes, we could Dutch them for a £25 stake, and we walk away with around kind of 8.75 after commission. You can see that down here on the left. That's one possible. That keeps the field nice and open for us. However, would we say that none of these other horses could contend? Probably not. I mean, we already mentioned Vividly, as has, I think it was Chris. But that is a possible, and we would be making something around around 30% back. Looking at the place market, the 3-place market here, actually the odds are pretty decent on all 4 of these. The issue being is there isn't a standout for us. So I would expect the majority of these to place, probably Tomorrow's Dream, Wassif, and then one of these others. We could go to the 4-place market, and even there, the odds aren't actually horrendous if all 4 of these runners placed. But you've got to be careful doing this, because if we put in, say, £2 stakes for all 4, you can see that if we only got a couple placing, we're going to be losing money. And actually, pardon me, actually we would need 3 of these horses to come in, the top 4, to make a profit from that bet. So that's of no use to us. Alternatively, so if we were going to go for this race, and this is very likely a race that you probably want to miss. But if we were going to go for this race, I like the festivals. I like to bet just for fun in every race. I use the staking where I take the bankroll for the entire week. I divide it by the number of days of the festival, and that's the amount to bet each day. I then divide that by the number of races. So I've got my set fixed amount to bet in each race. I bet that in each race, and all profits and returns get set aside. And that's the best way to bet on festivals when you want to try and bet in every race and you want to enjoy the festival as well. So if we're not going to do the Dutch bet, for me, the best way to probably approach this race is to choose the horses that we were most interested in. Of that, it was probably going to be Tomorrow's Dream. That horse was kind of seemed to be the strongest there. And if we come back to the win market, odds of 5.5. If we look at the 4-place market, Tomorrow's Dream is 1.69. Now, if we were to do an 80-20 bet and we put £8, say it's a £10 bet for argument's sake, we put £8 in there, we'd make £5 back. So we would more than cover our win bet if Tomorrow's Dream came in and won the race. So I think that's possibly the way I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to do here is I might look at the odds a little bit closer to the market because it's still a bit early. So instead what I'm going to do is the horses that I'm actually most interested in here are Tomorrow's Dream and YCF. I've got those highlighted there. I'm going to add them to selections. And I'm going to add them as place bets there at 25. And that will just put them on my dashboard so I can come back to them a bit later and double check those odds, see what the market's doing on them. And you'll see if I come back to the dashboard, they're just sitting down here. And this is where I'm going to add all of the bets this morning. Okay, let's move on to the 145. I'm going to start going through these a little bit faster now. So that we can get through them all in time. I'm going to come back to the standard race card as well. Oh, I am sharing. Am I sharing the right screen here? Excellent, perfect. Tomorrow's Dream, Darren. You're on Tomorrow's Dream, and Carl as well. Okay, interesting. Tomorrow's Dream. A lot of people going for Tomorrow's Dream. That's interesting. That's going to be for me as well, I think, as you just saw. Okay. 140, the 145, I believe it is next, 145 race. Drop in the horses that you prefer in the 145 while we go through it. We're going to go through this one a lot faster. We're going to see who we can find in this particular race. Okay, this is, first of all, let's make sure we understand what the race conditions are. Obviously, it's a flat turf race, class 2. Ground is the same, it's good, but it's over 1 mile 1 furlong, or just over 1 mile 1 furlong. Prize money is coming at just over £18,500. Our VDW race scores aren't giving us anything particularly to be interested in. And I think I'm going to approach this in a very similar way. I'm going to start by sorting by Betfair odds. And once we've sorted by Betfair odds, I'm going to come down because look how many horses. We've got 18 declared entries here. And let's get rid of some of these. Odds of 350 is definitely not going to be for me. 270 is not going to be for me. 190. So I'm just clicking on the little X next to each of these runners to eliminate them from the race cards, just to narrow that down immediately based purely on odds, because I know I won't be betting on a horse that has odds of higher than 29 to 1. That's just my personal preference. That's not to say they won't win. They do sometimes win, as you well know. It's just that they don't win often enough for me to want to bet on them. I prefer lower risk. I prefer gradual growth as opposed to kind of the occasional huge odds winner. Okay, so that narrows that field down. We've lost 8 horses. We've got 10 left. We've got the eliminated horses back here. If we want to bring them back in, it's not a problem. We can just click on the X down here and they'll drop back in. So we've done that immediately. Now I'm going to sort by PR odds. And that immediately, I'm just going to highlight the top 3 horses there. Okay, and I'm going to have a glance over a day since last good race. They've all had a good race recently. But the only one of these that's sitting in the top 4 of 5, 2, 7, 8 is 5th position. But I'm not going to put too much store by that in this particular race. Now, I'm going to sort by market again, just to see where the top PR odds are sitting in the market. And we can see that they're in the top. Our top 3 from PR odds are also within the top 4 of the market. So there's market confidence in these horses as well, which is sometimes a good thing, sometimes not a good thing. We still want to confirm whether they're likely to run. So now I'm going to sort by speed figure for the last race, adjusted. And what this is this we take the speed figure in the last race, we adjust it for today's weight, and then we rank the horses. So this shows where each of these horses would sit in this field based on their last race's speed figure if it was adjusted to take into account today's weight. So these three horses are sitting in the middle, which actually is fine because don't forget this is a 1 mile, 1 furlong race. It's not a sprint race. So sitting somewhere mid-pack is absolutely fine. Quite happy with that. And coming further over here, the QMPV, this is a prize money, finish position rating based on the last 10 races. So sorting by that, again, we can see 5th position sitting kind of near the top, and the others are just below, and that's based on their finish positions. I think in this race, we're going to have to jump in. We're going to have a look at some of the horses' form. The PFP, which is a collateral form rating, again, is kind of putting these horses in a similar place. So from form, and that's a few form ratings we've looked at. That's the 5278, that's the QMPV, that's the PFP. And if we looked at the average competitive class, we're going to see something similar. These horses' 5th position is sitting kind of just below the top, and it is just below. We're only a few points away from the top for the average competitive, and if we look at the PFP, we're only a couple of points away from the top there as well. So 5th position is finishing kind of just behind that top runner alternative fact in terms of pure form. Maiden and Tinandali are kind of sitting midfield, just below centre of the field for form. But that is just based on form. If we come back to the speed, they're all sitting sort of mid-pack somewhere. Maiden is just a little bit higher. And if we come back to PR odds, which is our tissue line, obviously we know they're the top 3. Now I'm going to run that Monte Carlo simulation again, this time on the standard race card. I'm going to see if if the simulation agrees with the PR odds, with the tissue line. Do they match? Is it saying that these 3 runners are also the strongest based on the simulation? While that's running, I'm just going to come back over to the comments. Williams going for Cape Cavalli in this race. We'll have a look at Cape Cavalli in a second. Petter's going Tomorrow's Dream. Carl alternatively fact. Chris wrong distance. Michael, hi Robin, welcome. Robin, lovely to see you. Thank you for leaving the comment. Again, if you have joined us, if you've not left a comment, if you're on Facebook, you just add a comment to the Facebook Live. That will pop up. That will join in with the chat. If you're on YouTube, you should have a chat bar kind of on the right-hand side. So please do drop in any comments, drop in your thoughts, drop in your selections. If you've got any questions about what I'm doing, drop that in as well, please. You did Robin's done an 80-20 bet on 5th position to 5 places. 5th position as well from Darren, Red October, each way extra, Ben Beer. So there's a lot of people here, and this is great. There's a lot of people taking advantage of the extra places with the bookies, with the offers, with the bookies. If you can get on with the bookies, make sure you take advantage of those offers that they're giving. Just read the terms and conditions carefully so you know when they'll pay out, how they'll pay out, what you need to do to get them to pay out. But if they're offering extra places in the place markets, take them. You know, if they're offering 5 places, take it. If they're offering 6 places, take it. Take those places. If they're offering you a cash back on a bet, if a horse comes 2nd or 3rd, take it. So take advantage of any of those bookmaker offers that you can get your hands on. All of those give you an extra edge in the market. They give you an extra advantage, and we want to grab every single advantage we possibly can. Okay, that simulation has finished. Just before we move back, Eamon is going on Succulus and Tinandali. So there's one there that I am with you on at the moment. But interestingly, a lot of you going for horses that I haven't highlighted yet. Maybe they'll crop up in this in a second, and you'll probably prove me wrong. So okay, here we go. So the simulation is taking into account kind of everything. It's a bit like the PR odds. It's the whole thing. Is it agreeing that the top 3 are the same as the PR odds? And the answer here is no. 5th position is there in the top 3. That is the only one that is agreed. Otherwise, we've got Cape Cavalli, who a few of you have said you like this runner. You're on this runner. Alternative Fact is there as well. Again, a few of you said you like this runner and you are on this runner. So for me, going through the race here, fifth position is the only one that comes in there. And again, Tinandali, Maiden are kind of sitting down mid-pack. So what I'm starting to see here for me is that we've got fifth position is kind of showing itself near the top for a lot of information. Tinandali, Maiden are kind of mid-pack, so less confidence there now for me. Cape Cavalli's jumped in, Alternative Facts jumped in as possibles, but I'm going to focus now on fifth position. I'm going to open fifth position's history. Sorry, my brain just stopped there for a second. I'm going to open fifth position's race history over here. Let me show that to you. There we go. Here's fifth position's race history, and we can see raced on the 18th of July. So race recently was beaten 4 lengths in a higher class race. This was a 37,000 prize money race, going a furlong longer than today, but over similar ground, a similar weight. Before that was in a 10K race, closer to today, possibly a bit lower than today. Again, longer distance by a furlong, not a huge amount, won by a length, and that was back in June. We've got an all-weather race here where it was beaten but only by a couple of lengths, so it was competitive. And then we jump back to the end of last year where we saw a tail off of performers, beaten. So what we're seeing from this horse here is this horse can contend. I'm not sure I'd want to be betting on this horse to win specifically, but definitely is likely to contend. Now, while I'm here, let's have a look at some of these others. First of all, let's look at the other two that we found, which was Tinandali. And you know, I like to do this. I like to just run through some of these horses quickly. So we can see here, this York race here came fifth. Notice that's the same race that the last runner we looked at, fifth position, was in. Fifth position beat Tinandali in this race. That's worth noting, worth remembering. Then we come down to Epsom, which is very, very similar to today's race. A furlong longer, beaten 2.5 lengths. Beaten by 3/4 of a length. Coming down, most of these races are quite similar. Good to firm. Now notice down here, this race here, Navan, the 8th of June 2019. This is going back quite a way. However, I pointed out because yielding to soft, won by 11 lengths. We've got another good win here by a length on good to yielding. So what this is saying to us is that the horse doesn't dislike the ground conditions today, but possibly it's not its favorite. It is going to be soft in places, but it might prefer slightly softer ground than that. There's nothing stand out there though for me particularly. The horse can definitely contend, but there isn't anything that's making me go, this is the one for me. Maidani, looking at Maidani, less races to look at. Actually, I only won 1 race and had 2 decent races. That one was back on the 3rd of June, and then we've got going back to last year. But these races are much lower class. Notice this jump up in class here to 23K, 10K races, and we're beaten in both of those. And that's a bit of a flag to me, particularly when we haven't seen anything particularly stand out. It's sitting mid-pack, so that probably wouldn't be for me. And just before we jump on, let's have a look at Cape Cavalli. I know a lot of you are liking Cape Cavalli. We're going to be considering Cape Cavalli for your bet. And then here we are with Cape Cavalli. Won recently on the 9th of June, but in lower class. That was a 5 grand race. Slightly longer distance, good to soft. So similar ground though. Won well. Competed before that, only 2 lengths behind the winner on slower all-weather ground. And then we had a race where it was badly beaten, but look at that, it was a 75 grand race. It was Newmarket. And then otherwise, this horse has just performed consistently. But all lower class. So we got that jumping class today, and it's whether that jumping class can be matched by, well, to me, this consistency. Possibly not one for me for a win bet, but definitely a potential threat in today's race. Okay, so how are we going to actually consider betting on this race? All right, well, let's come over to Betfair, have a quick look, see if we've got any other markets here. So here's the current Betfair market. Tinandali is actually sitting up there currently as the market favorite, 5th position, just behind that runner. And then Cape Cavalli coming in, following down here to Maidani. Alternative Fact was another one that was quite popular. and our other popular one was alternative fact. Sorry, I've already mentioned that one. So down there. So that's where they're sitting. For me, 5th position is the horse for this race. Notice we've got there'll be 4 places, the standard market here. We've also got 5 places and 6 places. Let's just see where 5th position is. 2.32. Pretty good for 4 places. If we drop down to the 3 place market, 2.64. There's not much of an increase really to get into that 3 place market. In the 5 place market, it drops down to 1.98, and in the 6 place market, it drops down to 1.76 currently. But I'd expect that possibly to change over the 1.73. It's actually lower than Cape Cavalli in the 6th place market. So this is where you sometimes see disparity between the markets. In the 6th place market, 5th position is actually effectively the favourite. In the win market, Cape Cavalli is currently the favourite. So if you were betting on Cape Cavalli right now and then coming over to the 6th place market on Betfair, you would be getting potentially some value there. However, for 5th position, just an example, if we were to bet here, you can see we would make on an 80-20 bet, £5 back there for the horse if it came 6th, and that would more than cover the win bet of the equivalent £2 of that 80-20, £8, £2. So we know that if we go to the win market, to the 5 place market, where the odds jump significantly from 1.73 to 2, and we did the same thing, we're going to make nearly 50% more if this horse comes in the top 5 than we would if the horse comes in the top 6. So for me, I would probably be looking for this horse to come in the top 5. Although jumping back once more to over to here, let me just jump back over to here. And this is where it's good to have a quick look at the horse's past history, because if we jump back over to here, you can see here the horse generally finishes outside of one race. It's always finished in the top 5. So it possibly wouldn't be worth me going into the top 6 there. The top 6 to lose that potential 50% over here on Betfair, probably not worth going to the top 6. So I would probably be looking for 5th position here to be 5. I'll do an 80-20 for me, 5th position, and that will be 80-20 place part going in the 5 place market, and then the win bet. And in fact, I'll put that bet right in now because I'm quite happy with that. I don't want to come back and look at this market later. So if I'm doing a £25 bet, that would essentially be £20 in the place market. I believe that's right, and £5 in the win market. Okay, so we put £20 there in the place market. Not quite matched. We've lost some of that there. I'll just take SP by default in case it doesn't get matched, but I'm going to leave that open. I'm sure it will. And then we come back over here to 5th position here, and we place that remaining £5 from the £25 bet into the win market there. Okay, so if the horse comes in the top 5, we'll walk away with around £15, or the equivalent of just under 50%, about 40% of the stake. If it wins, then obviously we're going to be looking at around about 50 quid, so about 200% return. So that's the 145 at Goodwood. Just coming back to some of the comments. Great to see you all chatting. Absolutely wonderful. Carl's gone for Restorer. But yeah, it is interesting that Crowley's chosen to ride that and not made Danny. William's gone for Derivo, Walk in the Sand. Chris also likes Derivo. Love to know why you guys like Derivo. Drop that in. Please do let me know why you like Derivo. Eamon, the 5th position would be the fact that he had a tough race 10 days ago at York, be a factor that I would consider. That will be, let me just show you what he's talking about. Jump over to this tab here. So for 5th position, what Eamon is asking is, because he had this race 10 days ago at York, it was a higher class race, didn't do so well. Would that be a concern for me? To be honest, no, that wouldn't be really a concern for me. I would be putting that race actually down to a preparation race for coming into Goodwood. The horse was obviously in a race that was actually too good for it, and not to say it couldn't make it. It actually performed very well. You can also see from the in-running comments, it chased the leaders, was going well 3 furlongs out, Didn't get much room over 2 furlongs out, and then switched right. It closed up over 1 furlong out, but couldn't match the pace of the front pair inside the final furlong. But the horse did stay on. So the horse didn't actually have a bad race. It was, as you say, it was tough. It was pushing it, but I would say that was a preparation race. I may be proven wrong today, but that would be my current feeling on that. Okay, we should look at Sky Defender. Chris is on Sky Defender. Crazy prices on Sky Defender. Sky Defender is currently, where am I? Sky Defender. I haven't got that market open yet, have I? Apologies. Sky Defender. I will leave you to let us know what the prices are on Sky Defender. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next race because I am going slower than I intended. We are coming up for halfway through, so this is obviously going to run over the hour, so I apologise for that, but I will keep going through them till we finish all these races. Okay, Goodwood, the 2:15. Class 1 flat turf, prize money 28 grand, 7 furlong. This is a sprint race. We've got to love a sprint race. You'll see here if we look at Betfair odds first. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Sorry. There we go. We can see the race here. Okay, if we look at Betfair odds, we can see there's only a couple of horses that are kind of rank outside, so we're going to take those out. That leaves the rest. Now this is a sprint race, so let's just come straight over to some of the sprint ratings and highlight these. These are the top 4 horses for the speed figure from the last race adjusted for today's weight. And let's see how they match up if we look at the best ever speed figure, which is this column here that my cursor is currently over. And all apart from Dark Lion are kind of matching up there. So Dark Lion's obviously been slower, but for his last race, possibly got a better speed figure. But we've got Devious Company, Youth Spirit, and Goritus. Now, I'm going to sort by PR odds to see where they also drop in. The Youth Spirit is the only one dropping in at the top. So I'm looking for crossovers here. Exactly the same thing. So currently we've got Youth Spirit is the only one dropping in at the top. Let's jump in and do that simulation. Let's get this information quickly. There we go. Run that simulation. While the simulation's running, please do drop into the chat. Let me know who you're going to be on in this race. Will, you guys, Will's on Devious. Wonderful. Chris only does handicaps. That's absolutely fair enough. And this is obviously not a handicap. We can see that. I've just scrolled up here. But it's the Verve Clico Vintage Stakes. So the handicap will always be up here if it is there. Pardon me. Carl, Devious Company all day long. Consistent speed figures, and O'Brien eats all the market. Okay, let's see what the results of this simulation are. So at the moment we have we've got Youth Spirit sitting at the top for PR odds. We've got Devious Company and Goritus sitting in the top 3 for kind of speed. And then Dark Lion is there for kind of the last race it was in, but possibly not its best ever. I'm going to exit this simulation so that I can jump back into it again. Here we go. Let's jump back into it so I can sort by order. Devious Company, Youth Spirit sitting at the top there, and Dark Lion, Goritus down in the middle. So Devious Company and Youth Spirit. They're going to be the ones I'm going to be most interested in now in terms of doing quick analysis, see who we can get in on this race. Now, there's not much history on this race, on the runners in this race, obviously. And you can see that just by looking under each horse's name. And they've only had like 1 or 2 or possibly 3 in the case of Dark Lion races before. I am going to click on the PR odds overview and sort like this. So I can get a rough idea of probabilities, just total raw probabilities. Youth Spirit sitting up there. Devious Company down there at the bottom. That doesn't mean it's obviously going to lose, and it is sitting down there at the bottom. But I will just have a little bit of a further look into that runner there. Okay. Now, days since last good race, they've all had pretty decent days since last good race. Now, this is a sprint race, so let's open some speed graphs and have a quick check on the speed graphs. Okay, here they are. Here are our speed graphs. Okay, let's see what we've got here. So first of all, we can see this runner here, Kraken Power. No, thank you very much. Look at that drop. We've got another one here, Fountain Cross. I could just remove all of the ones that we're not interested in. And we got this here, King Zane, just dropping straight down. We've got another dropper over here, Thunder of Niagara. And you'll notice that none of these have been highlighted previously. Pardon me. And I've not actually set a dynamic filter on this, remember. I've not set a dynamic filter. Here's another dropper here, Painless Pointer. Remove that horse. And that leaves us Dark Lion, Devious Company, Battleground, Youth Spirit, and Gorytus. I've left Battleground here because not run for a while, but kind of sitting happy in the field. The horse to take note of here, Dark Lion. Look at that last race. This horse performed exceptionally in its last race, but its standard isn't great. So we see a standard kind of coming over here. Let's look at the conditions of the last race. Flat, all weather, class 5, 1,500 yards. Coming down to the races here, class 1, flat turf, good ground. And again, class 5, flat turf. So we can expect, this is not an all-weather race today, so we can expect this horse to not perform as well on the flat turf, good to firm, as it will on all weather. Okay, so that kind of knocks Dark Lion out a little bit. This is Devious Company, this purple line here, very consistent and looking strong. Coming over here, we've got Gorytus there, again, very much in the field. And then finally, we've got Youth Spirit, who's been inclining. So all three of these runners, from a speed perspective, look to have potential. Gorytus didn't have much else in any of the other factors. So I'm going to focus on Devious Company and Youth Spirit. Now, let's just open their form quickly and have a look at them. Okay, so here's Youth Spirit's form. There's not much to look at. 7 furlongs flat, soft ground, good ground, a win, and beaten by 2 lengths in its first race. Obviously, like soft ground, the ground today is good, soft in places. There shouldn't be a huge issue there. There's not really much for us to look into. And Devious Company, coming up here to Devious Company, we can see very similar performance on good ground, but actually win, and beaten by 3 lengths in the last race on the 11th of June. Much higher class, 23 grand. Well, much higher, a little bit higher class. So this horse should contend. So based on the previous history, Devious Company actually looks to be better. That was the same with the speed graphs as well. If we come back over here, and you will remember over here, Devious Company was also the strongest from the simulation, and was kind of strong in all of those other areas. That maybe puts me, for Devious Company, slightly ahead of Youth Spirits. Let's jump into the market and see what we've got. Okay, here we go. Jumping into the market here. Currently, Battleground's actually the favourite. Devious Company coming in second, Youth Spirit coming in third. We've got the market down here without the favourite, putting Devious Company favourite and Youth Spirit second favourite. However, there was nothing about Battleground that we even heard about. This horse kind of didn't stand out anywhere, and there was nothing really to shout out about that horse particularly. Just having another quick look, see if there was something that we may have missed. It's always worth going back to check. There is something we have missed. Battleground did actually have 5278 was ranked number 2, and VDW is quite predictive for place in this race, and it is well ranked in the top 4 for VDW. So this horse obviously does have some potential, and has won one of its races, which was the last race, but didn't perform very well in the one previous to that. So yes, Battleground probably has a chance here. Would I put it at 2.5 with Devious Company 5.9? No, I wouldn't. So coming down here for the place market, we've got Devious Company sitting at 1.76, Youth Spirit 2.36. That's 3 places. In the 4-place market, they're both sitting down here, 1.42, 1.74. Now, we could go for the normal place. There's a number of ways we could do this. We could go for the normal place, which is these two here, or we could do an 80-20. You've got to be careful doing multiple 80-20s though, because as you can see here, if just devious company placed, we wouldn't be breaking even. So generally speaking, they're not great bets. 80-20 is good if you've got one in the race. If you want to go on two, they're not so good. We could Dutch in the main market here, up here, and put our stake in there, and we would walk away with around a 200% markup profit on that race if one of those won. Obviously, Battleground, there then is there's no saver on Battleground if that horse was to come in, or potentially one of the others. And generally, in these big festivals, I'm not so confident with that. We could do a Dutch in the without favourite market on these two runners here as well. And that would still give us a kind of a nearly 100% return at the current odds. And that may be a better way to go, because essentially that moves the market favourite. The other alternative, of course, is to come back over to the win market and actually just lay Battleground instead. If we lay Battleground for a liability of £25, you see, we'd be making 15. So we wouldn't be doing quite as much, but we would have every horse except Battleground then running for us. So definitely for me, it's going to be Devious Company, Youth Spirit. In terms of how to place that bet, I will be tempted to go either for the Dutch without favourite. No, actually, I would probably be going for the lay on Battleground or the Dutch bet in the win market, because I don't think Battleground is going to win. I'll see what the market does. I want to see what the market does here a little bit with Battleground. I don't think Battleground is going to win, but it does have a possibility. So I will either go between the laying Battleground completely, or Dutching in either the win market or the without favourite market. But I'm going to watch that market for a little bit. So I'm just going to unhighlight these. I'm going to put Devious Company in here. I'm going to mark them as probably back bets there, 25. And then I'm going to also add in Battleground as well as a lay bet. And that just reminds me to come and check them out later, because they'll now be on my dashboard. And generally when I lay, I'll lay for a liability of whatever I'm prepared to risk. Okay, moving over to the 245 race. Sorry, I just realized I added those selections without switching back to my tab. I do apologize. Let's see who you guys are going to be selecting in this race. We've got Devious Company, Battleground. John's on Battleground. John, I would love to know what you like about Battleground. Please do drop that in. Let me know. Robin's not betting on this one. Very, very sensible. Eamon is Dutching Devious Company, Youth Spirit. Eamon, are you going to be Dutching that in the win market? You're going to be Dutching that without favourite market. Williams on Battleground as well, but he thinks the odds are too short. I agree with him. The odds do seem to be very short. Eamon likes Devious Company because he's going to like the ground, has good form. Whereas Youth Spirit finished behind Devious Company at Haydock, but improved and won. Sean Murphy is a positive jockey booking to take Battleground on in this. Yeah, I'd say that's a very good analysis, Eamon. Thank you very much for sharing that with me. And in fact, I'll just drop that on the screen there for everybody to have a look at, so they can see that message as well. Let's move on to the next race, which is the 245 race. And let's see who we can find in this race. I hope you enjoy what we're doing so far. If you are, please do hit that share button, hit the like buttons, the thumbs up, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. It's the first time I've gone live on YouTube, actually, across both platforms. So it's the first time that I've ever done that. Okay, the 245 race. The Qatar Lennox Stakes. We're going to do the same. We're going to go the same way here. Let's drop out these high odds horses. Let's narrow this field down. You'll see that a couple of these are marked as eye catchers for me. These are horses that I was testing with the other day when I was doing some training videos. So they are not actually my eye catchers. Okay, here we go. Betfair odds, we've narrowed down the field by that. We've not managed to remove very many. Let's come in here and we'll see that we've got 5278, Safe Voyage, Space Blues, and Dubai. Horses without a good run recently. We've got Beat Le Bon. And the odds are pretty high. So I'm going to get rid of Beat Le Bon. We've got Glorious Journey, and the odds are pretty high. Going to get rid of Glorious Journey. And then we've got Pierre Lapin. Didn't perform well last time out, but only had one race. And Sir Dancelot. The odds are quite short there. Course distance winner. That's possibly one, but nothing. I can see there at a glance. There's nothing particularly strong there. So I'm going to just drop that horse out as well. Okay. Now I'm going to sort by PR odds. And Safe Voyage, Space Blues are still there. And Dubai is only fourth, one behind. No, sorry. Safe Voyage, Space Blues, and Dubai are there. Top three, the same as the 5278. We have removed the third ranked in 5278 down here. And that was Glorious Journey due to a poor, not having a good race recently. Otherwise, the other three horses are there. VDW places 100% here. Let's open this and just see which of these horses are there. Space Blues and Safe Voyage is there. Dubai not. So that's an extra tick. That's an extra mark for Space Blues and Safe Voyage. Looking at probabilities, pretty evenly spread out, but Marie's Diamond is kind of showing up here as well as a positive. But I'm going to focus mainly on the PR odds in these races because the markets are generally pretty predictive in these races. So now out of these horses, this is obviously a 7 furlong race. We can see Safe Voyage is ranked 1 for this speed figure last race. Dubai ranked 2. If we sort by best ever, we can see Safe Voyage and Dubai similar position, and Space Blues is kind of dropped down a little bit here. So Space Blues not so good for speed. Safe Voyage, Dubai good for speed. Looking at PFP, again we've got Safe Voyage, Dubai sitting at the top. And Space Blues kind of coming in the middle. I'm going to jump over and have a look at the overview, my overview race card. This contains a few more factors. Try and get a better handle on some of these horses here. We can see we've got some good jockeys as well. Obviously, you've got Dottori here, 33%. She's doing well. Vestra de Souza, 22%. Riding Marie's Diamond. What I'm interested in here is I want to have a look at some of these competitive figures. Safe Voyage sitting at the top. Okay, Space Blues, Dubai in the middle. And if we do it for speed, Safe Voyage, Dubai again at the top. So Safe Voyage and Dubai seem to be the speed horses to beat in this race. Marie's Diamond is definitely going to be a threat. I mean, if we sort by projected speed, we've actually got Duke of Hazard has dropped in here. But Marie's Diamond's up there as well. Now let's take a look at the average speed on the ground. Safe Voyage, Dubai again. Average speed over distance. Safe Voyage, Space Blues, Dubai. And we're seeing the same names cropping up again and again and again. Looking at the PFP points over the last few races, Space Blues has been doing very nicely, but then so has Dubai. Has been not quite as smooth, but not bad, and Safe Voyage has been pretty consistent as well. All of these horses look to be a threat. Marie's Diamond definitely got a possibility. Not so good last time out, however. Scrolling back over again through these factors, and we'll also notice if we sort by Reynolds ranking, again we're looking at those there. Grains is coming in as well, but there aren't really many factors for this horse, as you can see highlighted here. So I'm not going to take too much notice of that. Okay, let's run the Monte Carlo simulation, and then we're going to make a decision. While that's running, please do drop in. You already have. Absolutely superb. Pablo, welcome. Lovely to have you chatting with us. Thank you for joining in the conversation. You're going for Youth Spirit in the previous race. Thank you very much for letting me know. William's going for Safe Voyage. Robin likes Dubai, 80-20. Stephen, thank you. I think that's your first message. Thank you for joining in the conversation, Stephen. Safe Voyage for you. You're saying he's going to romp home. Different Williams going for Safe Voyage as well, ticking all the boxes. Paul likes Marie's Diamond. Carl's Safe Voyage. So it sounds like we're all on very, very similar horses. Peter, interesting to watch, but there are too many acronyms. PR odds, VDW is pound for pound. What are the sequence of numbers? You're right. There are a lot of acronyms. I am sorry. I should be explaining those in more detail. PR odds. PR odds is our tissue line. These are odds lines created using artificial intelligence. We then merge them with the market to create a predicted true odds line for the runners. That's the PR odds line. VDW is Van der Waal. A Van der Waal ratings. We have adjusted our Van der Waal, the original Van der Waal, to work for us. We also score every race to tell you how predictive Van der Waal VDW has been in those races. That's what VDW stands for. I will, going forwards, I will be clearer on what those acronyms mean and what they are on the different race cards. PFP is a post-form projected rating. It is a form-based rating. It uses collateral form, and we increase or decreases a horse's score by a certain amount of points after each race, depending on the race conditions, the horses in the race, and how well the horse performed. So I will be clear on those. Thank you very much for letting me know, Peter. It sounds like we're all on very much similar runners here. That simulation's now finished. Let's jump in and see what we've got. Okay. Here's that simulation. If we sort by it, we can see we've got Safe Voyage, Dubai, Space Blues. So those three horses are again at the top. Maurice Diamond coming in just after. Safe Voyage, Dubai seem to be the two to beat in this race, but there's no doubt that Space Blues and Maurice Diamond are going to be threats. So let's take a quick look at the market, see how we maybe want to bet on this race. Okay, here's the market. Space Blues currently favourite. Safe Voice down at 7.4. Dubai 14. Maurice Diamond 15.5. Duke of Hazard coming in at 6.2, and Sir Dancelot coming in at 8.2. Now Space Blues seems to be a little bit short to me for this race, so that's probably not going to be one that I'm going to be focusing on. Safe Voice seems to be pretty high odds, as did Dubai. So I'm going to be looking at both of these. I'm going to be seeing if I can get those in the place market. Let's have a quick look at the place market for these. Safe Boys 2.62, Dubai 3.75, and that's the 3 place market. If we look at the 4 place market, it's going to be slightly lower. Safe Boys 1.94, Dubai 2.74. So we're going to do 80-20 here. Maybe we're just going to go for place. If we were just going to go for place on both of these runners in the 4 place market, let's just see what we've got here. For example, £25 bet, we would be getting back. We'd be making a small loss if only Safe Voyage placed in the top 4, and we'd be making a profit of around 10 quid, £8 roughly, if only Dubai placed. So there is some risk there because obviously Safe Voyage, if only one of those horses placed, if only Safe Voyage places in the top 4, then we're not going to really see a huge amount. If we come back to the normal place market here, we did Safe Voyage and Dubai for the same stakes, and this is obviously just 3 to place. You can see we would make a profit no matter whether one of these horses came in the top 3 or whether both of them came in the top 3. If both of them came in the top 3, we'd be walking away with a very nice profit. If only one of them came in the top 3, we'd still be walking away with somewhere around £6, so somewhere around a 30% return, which is still pretty good. So that's one way of doing it, possibly betting both of these to place. Could we do an 80-20 on both of these? If you look at this here, the answer is if only Safe Voyage placed and didn't win, then we'd be getting back £20 from our £25 stake, so we would be making a loss. So here we are saying that either both are going to place or one of them is going to win. So I'm not sure whether that is necessarily the best structure for a bet either. So for me, I'm probably going to go for both horses in the place market here, in the 3 place market, where I can split the stake across them both. I'm just going to put this straight in because I'm quite happy with that. I can split the stake across them both there. As long as one of them comes in the top 3, we walk away with a profit. If both come in the top 3, then thank you very much. So that's how I'm going to be betting in that race. I'm going to take the SP on those, so I'm going to leave them in case I'm not watching when it comes back. Okay. Right, I'm going to jump back over now to the race cards, see how you guys are betting here. So dance a lot for John. Oscar, hi, welcome, Oscar. Thank you. First message, first comment. Lovely to see you here. Thank you for joining us. Maybe put a hover over pop-up over all the acronyms, explain what they mean. So Oscar said, can I put a hover over the pop-up showing what they mean? You absolutely can. I don't know whether the hovers show here, but if you hover over any of the headings for the ratings, I'm not sure whether you can see that or not. It doesn't always show on screen sharing tools. But if we hover over any of these ratings in the top, it shows you exactly what they mean, and it shows you whether higher rating is better or lower rating is better. If it says high to low, that means higher is better. If it says low to high, that means lower is better. Let me know if you can actually see that through the screen sharing tool. Okay. Stephen's got another shout out. Stephen is now going on Duke of Hazzard. Get on now for Duke of Hazzard. That is Stephen's advice. Thank you for sharing that, Stephen. Right, we're going to jump over to the next race, the 3:15 at Goodwood. Okay, here we go. 2-mile race, good ground, 441,000. This is the Goodwood Cup Stakes. As you can see, we've only got 7 runners in this race. Now, sorting by Betfair odds, we've got some high odds horses here, and essentially the market is saying Stradivarius, the beautiful runner that he is. Stradivarius is going to win this race. The odds are currently 1.67, so massively odds on here. The only other horse that the market is saying is going to compete is Santiago, and the rest it's effectively saying don't worry about these other horses, you should just ignore them. So let's have a quick look at what our raw odds have come up with. And our raw odds have actually said that Naif Road has a possibility in this race. And then obviously Stradivarius. Coming down then in some of these higher odds horses, and then there's not a huge difference then between the rest until you get down to Yukon Glen and Who Dares Wins. If we look at that merge with the market, obviously Stradivarius and Santiago being so much shorter than the rest of the field come up here into the top 2, and Naif Road is dropped further down. Now I've still got my overview card on here, so I'm actually going to see why Naif is considered to be one of the strongest horses. I mean, we can see here from the PFP rating, Stradivarius is clearly at the top alongside Who Dares Wins. However, if we look at the competitive class score, Stradivarius is kind of a little bit further down, Spanish Mission, Santiago up there. And that goes the same with the speed competitive. And these have got time decay on. Spanish Mission, Stradivarius coming in second. Now, projected speed, and we've got to be a little bit careful with speed. This is a 2-mile race. So we don't, the top speed horses are not necessarily going to be the ones that are going to win. We can see Who Dares Win sitting at the top there with the highest projected speed figure. And then we've got Stradivarius, Naif Road kind of sitting in the middle of the race here. Distance, Stradivarius is the only one we've got a distance rating for. So let's look at ground. Naif Road kind of not so good over this good ground, possibly. Stradivarius obviously sitting up there near the top. Now, I'm going to be interested in day since last one. Spanish Mission, been a long time since this horse has won, so I'm not really interested. Yukon Glen, been a long time since this horse has won, I'm not really interested. I mean, Who Dares Wins odds of 160, so to be honest, I'm not really interested in that either. But I'll leave that in there for the moment. Coming down here, Naif Road has been rapidly improving there, and we can see that in the PFP scores. And let's see if we can see that also in the speed graph. I'm going to zoom right in to the last year here. Okay, we can jump over to the speed graphs there so you can see those. Naif Road is the purple horse here. We can see this. I've not got a filter on, and that's for speed because I'm aware I'm running over. So we can see here this horse performed really well, but that was flat all weather. Coming down here, so actually let's take all weather out because that's just not going to be of any use to us. So let's put flat turf in. Okay, and let's zoom back in here. Right, so you can see here, if we zoom in, you can see up here, Naif Road is sitting there quite happy Who Dares Wins has done very well, and Stradivarius is kind of sitting there. Who Dares Wins, Stradivarius crossing over, and if I come away from there, we can see Nyef Road not as good as Stradivarius, but not hugely behind. If this horse can put in a good race, it possibly not going to win, but there is a potential for it to compete. I'm going to come over back now here and just put these horses back in, because I'm going to run the Monte Carlo simulation. I'm using my RD overview card, remember, here for this. So I'm just going to run this simulation now on these horses, and I want to have all the horses contained in that simulation when it ran. That's why I've dropped those back. While that's running, I'm going to come back over to the chat. So great to see you. So Graham, thank you very much for your comment. Graham's over on YouTube, following us on YouTube. Dubai 4th place, Safe Voyage, the 3-place market. William Brown is on Nyef Road. William Hamilton, Stradivarius, but there's no value there. Following up by value there. Stephen is on Nyef Road to finish in the top 4. Currently 4-1 on Betfair. That's most likely going to be the bet I'm going to be doing with you, Stephen. William, if Stradivarius wasn't in this race, it'd be on Nyef Road. So a lot of popularity there for Nyef Road, and a lot of some people wanting for Stradivarius, but we're not seeing much love in the chat for Stradivarius. So if you like Stradivarius, if you think Stradivarius has got this race, just drop in now, just saying, yes, me. Drop into the chat now saying, yes, I think Stradivarius has got this race, or no, I don't think Stradivarius has got this race. Let's see how many of all of us today think Stradivarius has got this race. And there's a lot of us watching. There's around 65, 70 of us on this live at the moment. So let's drop that in and do that. Don't forget to like, hit the like button, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Hit the share button. Please do share this live event. Okay, that simulation now is finished. Let's exit and just sort here. Okay, I hope you're making notes of the horses that we're going on, the horses that we think are strongest. Okay, Stradivarius is right up there at the top. Nyef Road is coming down next. The impact value is saying Stradivarius has absolutely no value in the market whatsoever, whereas the impact value is saying that Nyef Road is having huge value in the market. So let's jump over, have a look at the odds, or the markets, I should say, over at Betfair and see what we have here. Okay, so here's the markets on Betfair. Now, I'm sure someone said there was a 4-place market, which I was quite surprised on, but then we got a 3-place market. I think that's probably what you meant. So we can see here, Nyef Road is currently sitting at 30, as we knew. Stradivarius 1.69. In the standard 2-place market, Stradivarius is 1.12 and Nyef Road is sitting at 5.3. But in the 3-place market here, Nyef Road is sitting at 2. At 2s, evens. So 2-place market, Nyef Road is 5.3, 3-place market 2. Massive difference. If we take the favorite out of this race completely, Nyef Road is actually sitting at 8, 8 there for the win. If we're going for the reverse forecast, Nyef Road, I can't remember what number the horse was. Nyef Road, so we got 3 and 5. So where are we going here? 3 and 5, 9.2 for the reverse forecast between Stradivarius and that. We've also got the how far Stradivarius, winning by up to and including 1.75 lengths or 2 lengths or more. And actually, there's no odds currently on Stradivarius not to win, but this is an interesting market. This could be one that may be worth coming into for a small amount later. I would say up to and including 1.75 lengths is also probably overpriced. So how am I likely to bet on this race? Well, I would like to bet in the 3-place market, but I would like to be getting more than evens, to be totally honest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch that market. I'm going to mark Nyef as my horse in this race. So I'm going to come down here, select Nyef, add to selections. I'm going to bet this horse in the place market, and I would like the odds to be higher than evens. So I'm just going to keep an eye on that market and see where it goes. Okay, so now so come back over to the race cards. I've added Nyef Road there. You can now see the horses that I haven't gone straight on, where I'm going to monitor the markets a little bit for. They're sitting now on my dashboard just down here in the selections area, so I can come back and look at them automatically sorted by race time, so we don't miss any of those there. Now that was the 2:45. Sorry, that was a 3:15. Let's jump to the 3:45. See how many of you are going to go for Stradivarius. John saying yes, definitely Stradivarius. Graham, yes, Stradivarius. Williams, yes, Stradivarius. Robin saying yes, Stradivarius, but it should be even. So actually, what we're saying here is that we all think Stradivarius is the horse most likely to win, but not at those odds. It's not worth the bet. It's not worth betting on. Okay, we're jumping over here to the 3:45 race, the Qatar handicap, and we're starting to drop back down now in quality. I'm going to come back over to the standard race card here. Okay. And there we have the standard race card. I do apologize that I overran. I'm overrunning today. We're going to try and go through the last 3 races in kind of the next 10 minutes. And we'll aim to be finishing around 12:30. Obviously, anybody who's got any questions or wants to stay longer, I'll be here for a bit longer. So that's cool. That's awesome. It would be lovely to continue to chat with you. Let's do our usual for these big races. We're going to sort by Betfair odds. None currently are sitting way out, so we're going to leave those. This race is obviously starting to get quite a long time away. So I'm going to sort by PR odds first. I'm going to mark, I didn't mean to open that. I'm going to mark the top 3 runners there. I'm going to come into the Monte Carlo simulator. I'm going to run, first of all, I'm just doing this straight away. I'm looking for the horses. And you'll see the reason I mark the top 3 horses for PR odds is because they appear green in the Monte Carlo simulator. So I can see easily and very quickly whether there is any tie-in, any matching for those runners during this simulation. Are you going to be betting in this race? Is this a race you like, or is the quality kind of not good enough for you? Chris, this is a handicap. I know you love your handicaps. Are you going to be betting in this race, or are you going to be skipping this one and going on to another? Okay, so here are the simulation is going to be nearly done. We're 60% of the way through. While that's just finishing off, just coming in to have a quick look. Stephen saying when you place your bet, you get an each way edge, so it allows you to go to 4th place. Will, Acclaim the Nation. John is going for Recon Mission. Okay, so we got some differing opinions here in this race. Please do drop in. Let me know. Who you like. Final Venture is Graham's bet in this race. Okay, we're gonna rapidly go through these races now. Let's just jump out here and see who we've got. Okay, I've jumped out. I'm going to jump back in so we can sort by results. And there we go. Acclaim the Nation at the top there. Celsius 2nd, Final Venture 4th, Count d'Orsay 5th. So Celsius is sitting there, top 3 for both of them. However, Final Venture, Count d'Orsay aren't far off, and Acclaim the Nation and Recon Mission. So where are Acclaim the Nation and Recon Mission? Notice they are 4th and 5th. So what we're seeing here across the simulator PR odds, PR odds being our tissue line. If you hover over the PR odds, it gives you the details of what it is. It's profit recall odds. Profit recall odds are an artificial intelligence-based odds line that is merged with the live Betfair market to try and give us the true value of the runners in the race. So we got the top 5 horses. They're kind of the same. All have had a good race recently. If we sort by speed, we can see that they're kind of spread out a bit, and this is a 5-furlong race, so speed is going to be important. So I've got concerns now over Count d'Orsay and Final Ventures coming in there at the top. If we sort by speed here, Acclaim the Nation Celsius is sitting there as well. Final Venture, Count d'Orsay kind of in the middle, Recon Mission down there. So let's open up a different race card. And this race card's just got some speed figures in it. Okay, nothing else. And that's just so I can see speed. And I've got the average speed over the last 4 races. Count d'Orsay is actually at the sorry, no, that hasn't sorted. There we go. Acclaim the Nation is at the top. Final Venture coming in second. And we're coming down to the others, which aren't looking so good. Let's look at the average speed on the ground. Final Venture coming in at the top again. Acclaim the Nation sitting midfield along with the other runners. Count d'Orsay at the bottom. And the distance. Final Venture again, top 3. Not quite the top there, but not far off. and the others at the ground. So Final Venture is looking to be the speed horse in this race. Projected pace. Now, Acclaim the Nation is looking to have the strongest projected pace in this race. We're expecting this race to be fast. So if there are a lot of horses that are going to be battling for that front position, there's a chance that none of them are going to come in, and it will be taken by an early presser or a mid-pack horse. So let's just come down here and look at the total pace scores that we're seeing. Acclaim the Nation is looking to be up there. We look to have quite a lot, actually, of these horses taking the front. Acclaim the Nation, however, potentially has the advantage from Ornate and is going to set off. So if Claim the Nation can get that front pace, this horse could take it. If it can't, then we're likely to actually be kind of more down here. Final Venture, Count d'Orsay. Well, I'm not too keen on Count d'Orsay now from the other stuff, so it would be kind of more Final Venture. However, Acclaim the Nation, I think if that horse can get the pace, that horse is likely to be the one to beat in this race because it can compete. It might not be at the top for the various speed, but it definitely can compete. We're going to have a very quick look now at the speed graphs and see where, obviously, speed graphs are perfect for these types of races. So we want to have a quick look at them. Let me share that graph with you, and it's going to look noisy. I mean, there is a lot of data going on in that graph, so we need to shrink this right down. So first of all, we want flat turf. We want good to soft, good to yielding, because we know the ground is is not great. Distance, it's 5 furlongs, which is 1,100 yards. So I'm going to put this up at about 1,300 yards for the maximum. And do you know what? I'm even going to drop in a handicap filter here as well and just see what this leaves us with in the field. Okay, it's much cleaner. Now, this goes back to 2014, so let's just come in. We're not really interested in that. And we can see there's a break here at kind of April 2019. That's when we start to see some more of these horses performing again. And we've actually got some recent performances here. So actually, let's come all the way up. Let's come all the way up to those recent performances. There we go. We can see what we've got now here. Okay. So the horses that we're really interested in are Final Venture, Acclaim the Nation. But I've left all of them on so we can just get an idea of where we're kind of sitting at. So let's just see here. Acclaim the Nation, we can see here, coming up from kind of average around there to the middle, but isn't the strongest on average in terms of speed, but has been performing very well, followed by a Moment of Madness, who actually, you can see here, didn't do too badly in this race on the 19th of July. Class 2 race at York, flat turf sprint. Moment of Madness. Then, with much of a muchness, we got this runner here, Benny and the Jets, kind of dropping off a bit. So I'm just going to hide that from the graph for the moment because it's making it a bit cluttered. And then we've got in the middle here, we've got Only Spoofing, we've got Final Venture, and we've got Count d'Orsay. So all of these are kind of much of a muchness. So you can see where we've got confidence lines. That's what these lines are either side. So that's our confidence. So this horse's rating could have actually been anywhere between these two lines. So it's kind of touching on Ornate is touching on Final Venture, and Only Spoofing over here. They're all kind of sitting kind of in the mid pack. We mustn't forget we got Caspian Prince back here, who's also kind of potential threat. So there's a lot of potential space purely on speed here. Most of them look like they're going to have the speed. So for me, it's going to be Acclaim the Nation if that horse can get to the front. And the chances are, if that horse cannot get to the front, then it probably won't place at all. If that horse can't get to the front, I'm going to want to be on Final Venture. So then we're going to need to come and have a look in the market. But before we do that, let's just have a look at the history of these horses. Look at these last few 5 furlong races. Be wary, these ones here are all weather. We're interested in the flat races. So the last 3, horse hasn't won, but has competed. Has done well, except for this particular one here. Let's see what happened, why this horse come. So led, nothing particularly to highlight why this horse performed so poorly. They're just weakened in the final furlong. Possibly the weight was carrying 9.7. That might have been a little bit too much for it. It's only carrying 8.8 today. Carrying 8.8 today. So huge difference there. ran nicely here, kept on, ran nicely here, kept on. You'll notice as we scroll down, there are some wins, but not huge amounts of wins. There's a lot of places. So the horse can win, can place, but it's kind of a bit mix and match. Final Venture. Okay, we've got some higher class races here, all on the flat, mostly over 5 furlongs. This horse today is carrying 9-4. Okay, this horse today is carrying 9-4. So again, this race where it's beaten 3.6 lengths, not so great. Beaten 2.75 lengths. We got no wins. Notice there's no real wins down here. Okay, we get next. Last win was back in 2017, I think. So that's a long time since this horse has won. So if we're going to be betting on this horse, we're not really going to want to be betting on it to win. So the horse can definitely perform. It's kind of carrying the right weight. But there is concern over whether it can win. Okay, so now let's jump over to the market. Let's see what we've got going on there in the market. Okay, here is the market for this runner. And what we can see here is Celsius is currently the favorite, Recommission second favorite, then Final Venture, Acclaim the Nation, Final Venture third favorite, Acclaim the Nation fourth favorite, and then we're jumping up to kind of Well Done Fox, Count Dorsey at that higher odds range. So Celsius, Recommission, you'll remember they were both in that top 4, top 5 of the field, along with Final Venture, Acclaim Nation. I can't remember which the other horse was. Oh, I've changed the cards now, so we'd have to redo the simulation. But it was also the top 5 on PR odds. Celsius, Count Dorsey, Final Venture, Recommission, Acclaim Nation. So it was these 5 horses that we had as a top half of the field. And just to show you, we probably can't get a bet. Oh, we can. We could do a Dutch on all of those and actually walk away with about 35% profit if one of them was to win. That's a pretty good return for being able to Dutch half the field and take into account essentially every single horse that we think is likely to be competitive. In terms of the market, we're missing out Well Done Fox. And we probably can't squeeze that one in as well. Certainly not within Betfair's £2 minimum. We can get around that by using software, obviously, if you want to bet less than £2 on Betfair. But so that would be one option. If you just want to go bet blanket, you could just Dutch that whole field. However, for me, it's Acclaim the Nation that I'm liking the look of. And there is a 4-place market for this horse as well. And the odds are 2.26. And if we were to do an 80-20 bet on this horse, you can see here we'd easily make the profit as long as this horse came in the top 4. We'd easily make a profit from this horse. Now, this horse I'm expecting to either get the pace and keep it or not be able to keep it. But we are predicting that this horse will be able to keep that, get to the front and keep the pace in this 5 furlong race. That's what I'm hoping it can do. If not, Final Venture would be probably more of a bet. However, there's a little bit of concern about Final Venture from its win perspective. So for me, the bet's going to be Acclaim the Nation, 80-20. I'm just going to place that bet in now. So there goes Acclaim the Nation. And then I want to bet the other part of it to win. Where are we? At 9.4, and actually it's dropped in. It was 9.8, I think, wasn't it, a moment ago? Anyway, that's fine. I'll take that odds there, and we'll go in here. We'll just see if this bet got matched. It did get matched. Perfect. So that's how I've gone. Let me know how you've gone. Now, I appreciate it is 12:30, and we have done all of the races except for the last 2. Those last 2 races I haven't done yet. I am happy to stay and go through them if you would like me to. The 420 is a maiden race, so there's not going to be a huge amount that we can see in there. I think each horse, well, there's only a few horses that have had one, and the last one is a fillies handicap. So if you'd like me to go through those last races, please just drop in the chat now. Otherwise, if we've had enough, it's been 90 minutes. I appreciate I've run over. Then please do let me know there as well. While you're letting me know that, just coming back here to the chat, wonderful to see you still coming in. We've got John is on Recommission, Graham's Final Venture, William is Moment of Madness each way at 21s, Robin over on YouTube is going for Celsius with the 2 places at around 5-4. Carl on Facebook, Final Venture. Robin has changed his mind. He's actually moving on for the race. And William Brown going for Majd Al Arab. And that's not in this race. I'm assuming that's in the next race. I've not got to that race yet. So would you like me to continue? Would you like me to go on? Can you stay with me? Would you like me to go through the next two races? We've got a maiden, we've got a fillies. Happy to go through those if you'd like to stay on with this live. We can keep going through the last two races today. So just drop a message in now. Let me know. Bruce and John would very much like to stay on, which is wonderful. I'll wait for a few more people just to make sure that everybody's on board to stay on. We can keep going through these races and see who we can find in the last two. Okay, Graham, yes. Okay, it looks like a few more people are coming in now saying yes. That's wonderful. Right, let's crack on then. Let's see what we can dig out in those last two races. Now, are you going to bet in this maiden? That's the question. Do you want to bet in this maiden? I mean, let me open it now. And here we go. Let me open this maiden here. And you can see this maiden. I mean, essentially, none of the horses have raced. We got 4 horses that have raced before. That's it. 4 horses out of the field of 9. Is this a race you'd bet in? Where do you go when you look at maiden races? I mean, I'm going to tell you where I go when I look at maiden races, but where do you go when you look at maiden races? How do you determine what horses you're interested in a maiden race? Thank you for everybody who's been posting and saying, yes, let's stay on, let's do the next race. Wonderful. Thank you for staying with me. We're going to do them very quickly, particularly this one because there's not much information. So we're going to rattle through the last two to get them done. Right, so let me know how you choose to bet on horses in maiden races. How do you go and find those selections in maiden races? The strongest piece of information we have in a maiden race is the Betfair market. And at the moment, the market is telling us that the Princess Poet is not to be considered and Danzart is not to be considered. They are both over 30, but actually the Betfair market is telling us that these 4 horses are the horses to focus on. And then notice there's a jump. From 9.2, we go down to 11.5. But it's actually telling us that the Alcumate, is the horse we want to be focusing on. That's the favorite and is significantly the favorite. Majd Al Arab, Rifa Wonder coming next, Imperial Dawn after that. So that's what the market is telling us to focus on. Our PR odds, let me sort by PR odds, is actually telling us exactly the same thing. Our raw probabilities, and obviously we've only got very, very limited data to go on, is telling us that actually Majd Al Arab has potential here, and it's put Alcumate third, just purely on raw probabilities. However, we know that the Betfair market, we know that the live markets in these races are highly, highly predictive. So we're going to put a lot of weight there because we've not got much information. Let's open the standard race card and see the little information that we've actually got. Okay, here's that standard race card, and it's put Tishtahal as number 1, and that's going to be based primarily on connections. And then Alcumate, Majd Arab, and Rifa Wonder kind of following down. So Alcumate is still sitting in second there. None of them have really got much data, but Alcumate is top for speed. Obviously, top for good races in the last one. Also top for form, we can see here. Top for competitive PFP. Top for just the raw PFP, because it's actually had a race and got some points. Not great for jockey and trainer overall ratings, but that's that. So the data is saying Alcumate is likely to be the strongest horse in this race. Let's jump into the market and see what the market is saying. We know kind of what the odds are anyway. Alcumate here is the favorite. Doesn't mean the horse is going to win. You can grab the 3-place market, but you're probably not. Oh, I didn't mean to press the back all button. We're probably not going to get enough to do an 80-20 bet. Well, you would just. So at the moment, you would just get a 1.32. You just get enough here for an 80-20 bet if you wanted to do that. You'd get £2.50 profit back on your £8 stake. So if you lost, if the horse didn't win the race, you would make a 50p profit. So you would kind of make around about a 5% return if the horse didn't win. So that might work as a saver bet, because essentially you're saying, I think the horse is going to win, but I'm actually covering my back. So if the horse only comes in the top 3, then I'm still essentially breaking even, still turning a small profit, but essentially breaking even. That's probably quite a good saver bet, and that's, to be honest, probably the way I would go. However, I tend not to bet in maiden races personally. How do you bet in maiden races? How are you going to focus on that? Avinash over on YouTube, thank you. First comment, based on the track for the given horse. That is actually a very good way to do it. Trainer specialisms at courses, distances, grounds. It is a great way to do it, using the connection data in maiden races to see what's going on. Bruce over on Facebook relies on his handy pin. The handy pin is always handy, but I would prefer to use the market-based pin rather than the handy pin. Crispian, thank you for your message. Thank you for joining in the chat. I believe that's your first message today. Never bets in a race where you can't even try to assess most of the runners, and that would be my recommendation is to, if you haven't got information, if you haven't got data, generally stay away from them. Robin agrees with us that maiden races are like guesswork and tends not to bet on them. William, is going for Majd Al Arab in that race, following the market, following the favourite. Okay, so let's come over now and look at the last race of the day, the 4:55 race at Goodwood. This race is a fillies handicap race. It's called the British European Breeders' Fund, EBF Fillies Handicap Race. Sorry if you can hear a little bit of noises there. My dog is beneath the desk and she's actually just started to have a dream. So there's little woofs coming out from underneath the desk. I'm sure she will get through the dream in just a minute and it will go a little bit quieter. So the 4:55 British European Breeders' Fund Fillies Handicap Race. Drop in the chat, who are you going in this race? This is the last race at Goodwood on the first day of racing. Who are you going to be going on in this race? Let me know. Drop it in the chat now. Okay, so I'm going to start here by doing PR odds. I'm going to sort by PR odds. I'm going to mark the top 4 here. And then I'm going to do the Monte Carlo simulator. I'm going to do this slightly differently. I'm going to do this slightly turned around the order that we're doing it in. So I'm going to do it in the Monte Carlo simulator, because now I want to drop over into the chat to see who you like, who you're going to be following, and why you're going to be following them. Okay, so John John, sorry, I'm not sure whether that's a question or you're letting people know the message. William is going Tulip Fields in the last. William, what do you like about Tulip Fields? What is it that makes you think this is the horse to beat? This is the strongest contender in the race. That this is the best value that you can get in this race. And obviously in festival betting, it's not just about value, it's also about trying to find the winner, because we're betting, well, if you're like me, you're out to enjoy the race, we're out for fun, we're out for enjoyment, so we're going to be trying to find as many winners as possible, as well as value. But we're not taking the long-term proposition, we're looking at the short-term, we're looking at the 4 days of this festival, the 5 days of this festival that is going to be taking place Tuesday to Saturday, and we're going to try and find as many winners in that time frame as physically possible. John's going for Asiaf, Crispin's going for Tulip Fields as well. Graham's also considering going for Tulip Fields, but it's not 100% sure. So maybe if some of the other folk who are on Tulip Fields, maybe you could just drop into that chat, into that message, why you like Tulip Fields. Let Graham know why you like Tulip Fields. Okay, simulation has finished. Let's jump back over here. And if you've enjoyed what we've been doing today, please do let me know by in the chat box, by giving us a thumbs up, by sharing it with the share button to your friends on social media. If you enjoy what we're doing, let me know if you'd like to see another one of these maybe this week. Do another day at Goodwood this week, maybe. Please do let me know. Leave that in the messages, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. Leave that in the chat box or in the comment section, depending on where you are at. Now, the results of that simulation, let's open it up. We can see here the results of the simulation have Tulip Fields at the top, followed by Time Voyage, followed by Asiaf, and then Sashenka. So the top three, Tulip Fields, Time Voyage, Asiaf, match the PR odds. Let's just come out here and sort by PR odds again. There we go. Asiaf, Tulip Fields, and Time Voyage. Dancing Approach was the one that didn't match in the Monte Carlo simulation. I'm going to take that out there. Also notice that Dancing Approach was 9 here as well. So Daisy's last good run, much of a muchness. I haven't yet removed the higher odds horses, so let's just clear some of these off here to slim down the screen a bit. There we go. And I'm going to click on the actual PR odds and sort by probability, and also on raw scores here had the same 3 as the merge as a tissue line. So when I click on PR odds like this, I get this overlay on the right hand side, and this gives us the raw scores and probabilities that go into that PR odds artificial intelligence tissue line. So it's already calculated the scores for the horses, and it's calculated the probability that it thinks each of those horses has based on winning, and then it's highlighted the potentials and the contenders, and then it's given us the raw odds that it expects those horses to be. Then over here in the PR odds column, we take those raw odds and we merge them dynamically with the live market on Betfair to give us a true price. And we've got advanced settings where we can determine how much we take into account the live market compared to our raw odds. The further away, the lower that wants to be, pardon me, the nearer to the race, the more importance we want to give to the live market. But that also shows to us that in this race, everything is agreeing. The raw probabilities and odds from our tissue line agrees with what the market is saying, with what the merged odds in our PR odds column is saying over here. That's all in agreement. The 5278 is saying that these horses are also the strongest. They've all had a good race recently. This is a 1 mile, 3 furlong race. Speed's not going to be as important. But the PFP scores, let's have a look at the PFP scores. We've got Sashenka actually sitting at the top here, but then Time Voyage, Tulip Fields next, and Asiaf kind of middle of the field there. But Time Voyage, Tulip Fields standing out again. If we do PR odds, it was Asiaf, Tulip that was standing out there. And it looks like Time Voyage has just dropped. It's just dropped there. Let me open the simulation again. Hang on. So we do sometimes see things change because markets change, and we also get data coming in all day throughout the day. And every time we get new data, we will recalculate information. As long as it's pre-race, we will recount information if we get new data. We currently receive somewhere between 500 and 1,000 updates every day across all runners, and we're continually updating ratings and scores throughout the day if something comes in that indicates difference. Normally those changes are minute, they're not huge, they're not significant, and you won't see massive differences, but occasionally, very occasionally, we get something that jumps. Sorry, I opened that and I didn't actually look at what I was looking for. Tulip Fields, Time Voyage, and Asiaf. There we go. And then here we go, Tulip Fields, Time Voyage, and Asiaf. Now Time Voyage is kind of dropped down here for PR odds. Asiaf, Tulip Fields is up near the top. Now, that would put me with Tulip Fields and Asiaf to be probably the strongest. Just having a look at the speed graphs. Here they are. Let's put a filter on because we're obviously flat turf, good ground, well, good to soft. So flat turf, good to soft, good to yielding. And this race is 1 mile, 3 furlong. So 3 furlongs is 660 yards, and we've got 1 mile as well. So that is roughly, we're talking about 2,300, 400 yards. So let's put a distance of about 2,600. At the moment, our distance filter only works in yards. We're looking to change that so you can put miles, furlongs, and yards in it. But at the moment, it only works in yards. So I just got to convert the miles and furlongs into yards. And actually, I'm going to go. I'm also actually going to go back in there and put a filter, a minimum filter in of kind of around 1,500 as well. So that I don't want all the sprint races. Okay, and this starts to paint us a bit of a picture here. First of all, let's look at the dynamic scores down the side. We can see Tulip Fields is way up here with 123. Next best is Sarvi, 118, only just ahead of Asiaf at 113. He's only just ahead of Eau Claire de Lune at 111. But Tulip Fields is way up here. I'm going to get rid of some of the lower ones off this graph here that we can see, just to clean it up a little bit, make it a little bit neater. Okay, so that gets rid of some of them there. Now I'm going to zoom in as well. Okay, there we go. I zoomed in as well. All right, and there's Tulip Fields. Okay, so Tulip Fields has been fairly consistent here, as we can see. Sorry, Tulip Fields is this grey line here, and oh, I just managed to hide it. Apologies. Tulip Fields is the grey line. It's been fairly consistent, but we can also see that Sarvi has been fairly. This is Tulip Fields here. Has been fairly consistent as well. Coming down SEF is not looking so great. So a little bit of concern there. And Dancing Approach is way down here. Could compete with Asiaf, but possibly not with the other runners. So I'm going to remove Dancing Approach. Eau Claire de Lune is buried here in the middle, somewhere there. And again, could compete with Asiaf, but not hugely. I mean, it could also compete potentially with Sarvi, because you notice how big these lines are either side of Sarvi here. Sorry, Sarvi's being the green line. Let me get my cursor away. Sarvi's the green line here. And you notice how big. Let me zoom in so you can see in more detail. All right. Okay. So Sarvi's the green line here. And you can see how, let me put Tulip Fields back on. You can see how these two lines, this is the confidence levels, upper confidence for the speed figure, lower confidence for the speed figure. They're pretty big. That means we can't be too accurate with this horse's exact speed. We expect it to be here. We expect it to be 123 for this race, but it could have been as high as 136, or it could have been as low as 112. Now, if this horse performs kind of at its lowest possibility, then actually Claire de Lune, Asiaf all potentially become contenders. If it performs at the top, then, well, the only one that's really going to be able to contend is Tulip Fields. So Sarvi, we've got some volatility there that we're unsure about. Tulip Fields has much less volatility, has performed well here in the last race, but again, and has been fairly consistent over the previous time as well. We had a drop down here for this runner in the 5th of July, and so we'll have a quick look at the horse's history just to see what caused that. So let's just open the horse's history briefly and see what caused that. Okay, here we go. So we open that horse's history there, and here it is. And we can see here, flat race is £20,000. Today's race is about 11k prize money. So, and 1 mile 3 furlongs. Came third, but was beaten by a long way. Came sixth, was beaten by a long way. Good to soft here. Won by 3 lengths. Was a much lower class race. Good to soft ground. Carrying 8-9, carrying 9-7. This horse is carrying today, 9-7. So quite a lot more weight than it's ever carried in any of these races before. And that might actually be a little bit of a concern for Tulip Fields here. And we can see it's contended, but not huge on the wins. Although here at 9-8 over 1 mile 1 furlong in a lower class race, won nicely. So let's now have a look at Asiaf. Okay, and Asiaf here, less races, carried between kind of 8 and 9, but it's carrying 8.12 today. Has carried 8.11, so that at least is within its comfort. But again, we've got to step up in class. However, performed okay on slower ground there. So this is quite a difficult call, really, because Tulip definitely has. Tulip Fields seems to be the one to beat. Asiaf, definitely possible contender rights. So let's open the market, see what we've got here in the market. And in the market, we can see here 4.8 for Asiaf, 5.3 for Tulip Fields. And actually, Eau Claire de Lune is not far behind at 5.4. But we're focusing on Asiaf and Tulip Fields. It's difficult. We could Dutch them. I'm not confident enough really to want to Dutch in this race, to be honest. And the Dutch bet will bring back £37 profit to a £25 stake. But as I say, I'm not really confident enough. 2.04 for Tulip Fields. Tulip Fields is my preference. I feel that Tulip Fields could place in this race. This looks to be the strongest horse. The weight is a concern. That extra £7 is a concern over 1 mile 3 furlongs when the ground is slightly softer. That's making me a little bit nervous. If you did an 80-20 here, you'd walk away easily with a profit. And if you did an 80-20 in the 4-place market, you would still walk away with a profit. This is tough. This is a tough decision for me because I would normally be going straight with Tulip Fields. I am concerned about that weight, which puts me slightly more towards Asiaf. I mean, Asiaf you could do in this 4 marketplace as well, and still, as you can see, 80-20 make a profit even if the horse only placed. Obviously, in the win market, there's a bit of difference, but not a huge amount. And actually, Eau Claire de Lune's just dropped in there into second favourite. My gut would say to actually not go with Tulip Fields. That weight, the horse could contend, the horse could win, but that weight is just over the distance with slightly softer ground in places. That could be a problem. So I think for me, I would be going for either a place bet or an 80-20 bet on Asiaf. Who are you going to be going on in this race? Let me know. I'm going to jump over now, have a quick look here. So we've got John's going on Asiaf. Crispin is on Tulip Fields. Graham Tulip Fields. Robin's going for Chartered. That's interesting. Chartered didn't even come up for us. That's down here. Odds of 21-1 currently. Love to know why you're going on Chartered, Robin. Williams going on Asiaf. Graham. Thank you very much. So that's all the races for today. We're going to call it a day. I apologize. I ran over. I realized it was 2 hours, not 1 hour. So my apologies for that. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you had a good day. I hope you've had a good morning. I hope you're looking forward to the Goodwood Festival, to the next 5 days of what's going to be exciting racing. Please do leave me a message if you'd like to see another one. Graham, thank you for your message. It's asked if we do another one to do it on Thursday because he's off to Bangor on Wednesday. And he's got a runner. Graham, good luck with your runner on Wednesday in the Mares Race 1:30 Cotton End. If you're watching racing tomorrow, make sure you watch the Bangor race at 1:30. Shout for Cotton End. That is Graham's runner in that race. So make sure you watch that. Eamon just had a conference call and is back now for the final Dutch in this race. Graham's going to be going for Asiaf, Eau Claire and Chartered. There's a couple of people who are liking Chartered there. Weight's a concern, but a Mark Johnson runner at Goodwood should you look any further. Personally, it's a difficult one, but I am not trainer focused. I am very much horse focused. I generally not look at the connections. So for me, I would look further than a Mark Johnson runner. So yes, please do let me know if you've enjoyed this. Let me know if you'd like to do another one. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. I hope you walk away today from Goodwood with a profit in your pocket. I look forward to seeing you in the next live event. I'll let you know via email when it's going to be. And I will see you very soon. Thank you for joining me, Michael Wilding, joining the Race Advisor. in this Goodwood Day 1 analysis. If you're not following us on Facebook, please do hit the follow button. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do hit the YouTube subscribe button and share this video with your friends. Let everybody know about us. Thank you very much indeed. And I look forward to seeing you in another live event. Take care.